Hi, it's Robin Morton here from 22nd Century Gold, and welcome to this little clip from our Freebay Launch Event at the weekend. It was an amazing event, lots of great speakers. It was great to see Eric Worre and Todd Falcone, who we're going to feature in this little clip here. Todd Falcone gave us a wonderful leadership strategies session, and I've got this in its entirety for you here. If you want to get more information about how to grow your business within an amazing affiliate e-commerce platform like Freebay, get in touch with me on this video or visit 22ndcenturygold.com and enjoy Todd Falcone. Bye-bye.
Like the legend of the phoenix, all ends with beginnings.
Hey, what's happening, my Freebay friends? Todd Falcone here. I feel so blessed and honored to come and share with you today. This is a big day for all of you, such an exciting time. And I want to talk today about the concept and the subject of leadership. You know, it's interesting. When I first got started in network marketing over 30 years ago, I didn't look at myself as a leader. I thought, why would anybody follow me? I don't know anything about leadership, I didn't know anything about the concept of becoming a leader. All I knew, and I'm sure you're in the same position right now, is I want to win here. I want to be successful. I want this business to work for me. And I hope, like, you wouldn't even be here if you weren't thinking those same thoughts. Like, I want to win. I want it to work. I want it to last. And I just really want to have a very frank conversation with you, a very direct conversation with you today. It's a little different. You know, I can't be there on a stage. I'm sitting here in my office. This is where I spend most of my time. But I just want to have this discussion with you. And I'm going to go through as many points as I can cover with you that I think are the highlight points of what it takes to be an exceptional leader in the network marketing profession. And I think, honestly, becoming a leader is a decision. It's a choice that you make. It's not about having a pin, a rank, or a title. It's about, if we go back to like childhood, and I don't know if you did this when you're in school, but some kid in elementary school had to choose to be the line leader. Like, who's going to be the one that's in the front of the line? Who's going to be the one that's leading us to the lunchroom? And I think to some extent, that's part of what we do in leadership is simply volunteering to take that role. So for those of you guys that are brand new, that are just getting started, this profession might be all new to you, and you might be thinking some of the same thoughts that I was thinking, like, why would, I'm not a leader. I think that the thing you have to understand is leadership begins the moment you decide that you choose to take the role of being a leader. And there's a lot of definitions on what leadership is. And I think one of the most powerful definitions or ways of phrasing leadership, leadership is essentially influence, right? It's the ability to move others toward a common goal. And I get asked all the time, well, how do I become more influential? Like, that's a very common question for people in our profession to say, I'm not influential. How do I become more persuasive or more influential? And I'm going to give you some tips on that today. So regardless of whether you're brand new to this profession, or maybe you've been around for a little while, and those of you that have been around for a while, I think it would be important for you to think, okay, where do I stand in these categories? Where do I fare in these categories? So the first thing that I would say is, look, if you want to be a leader, right? And how do we look at leadership here? It's like, okay, leaders are people that are earning big checks, that have got large organizations, that have many followers, if you will, and that is people on their teams. And so I would guess that each and every one of you here at this event want to be an exceptional leader, because it's a good position to be in. Let me just tell you. And I believe that each and every one of you has the capacity to up your leadership IQ and your leadership ability. And the first thing, anytime I do a leadership discussion, I would say that and there's a couple ways of putting it. You need to be the example, right? And what does that mean by be the example? It's like, okay, the thing that's different here versus working like in a regular job or corporate America, for example, is everybody has the same roles and responsibilities. We all have the exact same roles and responsibilities. We might have different titles based on our ranks or whatever, but everybody has the same roles and responsibilities, and that's okay. We're going to go put customers on this product, on what our offering is, and we're going to go build a team of other people that have the desire to do the same thing. So we all essentially do exactly the same thing. Versus corporate America, you have a person that's the president or the general manager, and they're overseeing the whole operation. Then you have a vice president of sales, and they're overseeing sales. And then you have the receptionist that's handling paperwork, and everybody's got different roles and responsibilities. Here, we all have the same roles and responsibilities. So when I say be the example, it's like, what do you want everybody else to be doing? Like, if you want your team to be doing more, if you want your team to be recruiting more, if you want your team to be more productive, more engaged, what are you doing? Right? Because again, when you understand that we're all in the same boat, same shoes, we're all doing exactly the same thing. Well, if I want my team to be doing more, I need to be the example and set the pace for other people to follow. So I think it's a really important thing to be going, okay, am I on the leaderboard? Am I constantly recruiting new people? Am I constantly acquiring new customers? How can I expect, or how can you expect to have your people bringing in new recruits and new customers if you're not doing the same thing? Because here's the deal. I got to be straight with you. Nobody came here to have a boss. Okay. And there's some bossy network marketers. I've met them. Nobody came here to have a quote job and have somebody tell them what to do. We need to inspire people in terms of what to do through our actions. So if we look at, again, this definition of, or one of the definitions of leadership, which is influence. Well, how can we influence others? Well, if you enroll somebody into your business, they're looking at you as an example in which to follow. And so what I think about is, okay, well, if I want my people to be recruiting more, I need to be recruiting more. If I want my people to be at events like this, I need to be at events like this. If I want my people to be attentive at events like this, I need to be attentive at events like this. And I got to say this because I speak all around the world, and I'll go to an event, and there are people that, I'll know a great culture when I see all the top leaders are in the front row taking notes. And these are people earning tons and tons of money, but they're still in the front row and they're taking notes and they're fully attentive. They're not on their laptops playing around their mobile phones. They are present, right? And there's a phrase that I use all the time. I think it's important. Wherever you are, be there, right? So, for example, if you're working with your team, be present and working with your team. If you're with your family, be with your family. If you're with your spouse, be with your spouse. If you're working, work. If you're playing, play. And when we're talking about this whole idea of being more influential, and again, it doesn't. You don't have to have some supreme expertise in order to be more influential, especially for you newer folks. I want you to understand that you can create a tremendous amount of influence by inspiring others through your own individual actions. So, and I would say this as well, like if we look at this business, hey, there's nothing better than a new recruit or a new customer. Isn't that what we do? Tell me what else is there. I mean, if we really bare bones simplify what we do in this profession, we really only do two things. We get people in as customers or reps, and we do things to keep them in, right, as customers or reps by providing a great customer experience and by helping our associates, our representatives, understand how to do what we do in this business. So first and foremost, I just got to say to you guys, look at yourself. And that's another thing in this business. We have to be very self-reflective and ask ourselves simple questions. Am I being the example that I want everybody else to follow? If I want my people to be recruiting more, if I want my people to be more engaged, how is my engagement? How is my personal recruiting? Because I can't just be pointing the finger and expecting other people to show up if I'm not willing to show up myself. So that would be really the first thing I would say for you guys is, are you being the example? And if not, then you can make a change. If in the past maybe you weren't the greatest example, well, guess what? Now you can make the change and you can be a better example and set the pace for everybody else to follow. The next thing I would say is, and you got to understand this, leadership is rooted in trust. Can I trust you? Can I count on you? Can I rely on you? Look, and again, if we're looking to create momentum in an organization, you become more influential based on how you are with individuals in your organization or those that you're looking to bring into your organization. And we have, I'm sure all of you have friends that you can't count on, right? You know what I'm talking about. Your flaky friend, the one that you love to hang out with, but they're just not responsible. And they say that they're going to do something and then they don't do it. And they get away with it a few times. And then ultimately you're like, okay, I don't want to hang out with this person because I cannot rely on that person to do what they say. Like your word needs to be gold. And look, here's the other thing. A lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you today is not like technically challenging or hard to comprehend. Sometimes we get so focused and so busy doing things that we allow the little but very important things to kind of slip through the cracks, and then we don't do them. So and we're talking about trust, and we're talking about, like, for example, you got to understand this. Everybody's watching you, whether it's you and you got 2 people on your team, or you've got 500 or 5,000 people on your team. Everybody's watching your every move. And so we have to be very well aware of the decisions that we make and the ripple effect of those decisions. So, for example, I mean, we talk about looking at a blank pond of water and we drop a pebble into that pond. The ripples will go out in a 360-degree radius. And that we don't know where that ripple ends. That ripple goes someplace, and that ripple can be positive or it can be negative. So when for example, when people do things and they say, I'll be there to support you. Look, I had a conversation very recently with someone who enrolled in a company. This person had a lot of very successful business experience, enrolled with someone who promised them, look, I'm going to be there to work with you. I'm going to be there to spend time with you to help you do the business. And I am fully engaged. And then like literally a week later, the person completely disappeared on this individual. And here's a guy that's got lots of experience in business. And he's like, wait a minute, the person totally disappeared on me. So where's the trust there? And I think trust is more than just telling the truth, right? Of course, the truth is very important. Integrity is critical. Like you don't meet leaders that stay in a leadership position that are lacking in integrity. So I think when it comes to building this business, when it comes to recruiting people, we need to tell the truth, right? The truth is always good enough. There's no reason to exaggerate, to go overboard. I think that a lot of times network marketers, and look, I've been doing this for a long time, 30 plus years. Network marketers can, maybe elaborate too big on something when the reality is already big enough. And I don't think there's a need to exaggerate. I don't think there's a need to lie or tell an untruth or stretch at all. Unfortunately, people do that in this business. And in my opinion, it's just not necessary. The truth is always good enough. I mean, this business model is too good as it is. I mean, it's good enough for us to be able to share it in a way where people are going to be highly receptive to the message, because what are they looking for? They're looking for freedom of choice. They're looking for a better, brighter financial future for themselves. They're looking for good things to happen in their lives. And fortunately, we're all in a business model that enables people to create that. So I would, as you're watching, as you're listening to me, just look back at how you've been and how you've been with people. And are you the kind of person that, always, hey, if you say you're going to do it, it's done. There's just no question. If you say you're going to do it, and by the way, here's an even better philosophy. If you say you're going to do something, do it and then some. In other words, over deliver on what somebody's expectations are. And look, if you make that a habit in your life, just the way you are, like you always go the extra mile or the extra kilometer, depending on where you might be, you always go further than most people expect that you're going to go, you can't help but win in every single area of your life. And again, if we go back to what's your objective here? My objective is to be more influential. Well, I'm going to be more influential and inspire others through my actions, by setting the pace, by leading, by being the example that I want other people to follow. If I want my business to grow, I need to be growing my business. It's going to inspire others to go grow their business. If I want my people to be recruiting, I need to be recruiting more. If I want my people to have faith and trust in me, then I need to make sure that I'm always telling the truth. And that if I say that I'm going to do something, it's done, and it's done and then done. And there's no question. And when you create that kind of a reputation for yourself, where you say you're going to do it, and they just know, okay, I know it's done, perfect. You're going to be in a great position to be an exceptional leader in the network marketing profession. The other thing I got to tell you, and I've worked with so many different companies where the person, and John Maxwell is truly the master at teaching leadership, and he talks about a leadership lid, right? You can only earn to what you are as a leader, right? As a human being, in terms of your knowledge, in terms of your expertise. And again, because I have such a good viewpoint from so many different places that I've spoken around the world, I'll walk into a culture, and I know a great culture when everybody is really in this growth mode, this not just accidental but intentional growth mode. Like, when I got to tell you, when I started in network marketing 30 plus years ago, I started right out of college. So I went from school to network marketing, and then, as we all know, network marketing, there's a little school in network marketing, right? There's a lot of personal development. People are encouraging you to read books, attend events, attend seminars, learn, grow. Jim Rohn, who I had an opportunity to speak with on a number of occasions before he passed away, has many great quotes. But one of my favorite quotes from Jim is, "Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune." And so, what I would encourage you to do is look, because again, when I started in network marketing, they were like telling me I needed to go to a seminar and I needed to read a book. And honestly, I told the guy that enrolled me, I was like, can I just go make some money? I just want to go make some money. I've already been in school, man. I'm getting out of school. I'm ready to start earning, right? And he I don't know exactly what he said, because like, kid, you don't get it. And of course I didn't get it. I learned more after college than I ever did in college, in terms of entrepreneurship and making money and how to work with people. And the only reason I did is because I committed to getting better. And that's another thing that we've got to look at it as leaders, to inspire others. Again, because this is all about, again, it's about influence, right? It's about moving others in a positive and forward direction. Look at yourself. Like, what are you doing to get better? It's one thing to read a book and then throw it, down on your table and not do anything with it. It's an entirely different thing to read a book and go, okay, what can I take from that book? And how can I apply that directly into my business to make a difference, right? Because it's the application of the knowledge that makes the greatest difference. So, Sir Francis Bacon, way long time ago, coined a phrase which we've all heard, which is, knowledge is power. And he's not here to argue with me, but if he was, I would disagree with him and say, look, Sir Francis, I disagree with you. Knowledge is nice, but it's powerless until you put it to use. And so, one of the great ways that you can inspire people through your own leadership is when they see you in a growth mode, when they see you reading books, when they see you not only reading the books, but sharing the books with your team. Say, oh my gosh, I was reading this book. I learned this. This is an excerpt from the book. I'm going to read it to you guys on the Zoom or whatever trainings that you do, or one-on-one, or however it is. Or, hey guys, look, this is a book I just finished, and it's been life altering for me. Go buy the book. Encouraging others to read, to watch video content, to do things that are growing themselves. Because again, if we look at ability, right, or capacity, you have two different people. One person is no skills, no ability, no understanding, and then you've got this person that's working on their skills, that's working on their understanding, that's working on their capacity, that's constantly growing. And if they were to go compete in the market together, one against the other, which one do you think is going to get greater results? Well, the one that's grown and the one that's purposefully worked on their craft is going to be the one that's going to get better results. It's clearly obvious. But when I travel all around the world and I talk to people about success in network marketing and success in business, and I'm like, okay, because everywhere I go, people say, I want to get good. I'm like, good. That's great. Well, what are you doing to get good? And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what are you doing to get good? They're like, well, I'm doing the business. Okay, fine. Yes, you can learn by doing. That's a great thing here. It's like, we can get involved in network marketing, and it's an earn while you learn kind of business, but it's not just earning and learning. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Think about something. This would be a great exercise for you. What are you really good at? Everyone here is good at something. What are you really good at? Are you good at cooking or baking or golf or tennis or playing the guitar or art or anything? If look at that thing in fact, I would write it down. I'm really good at blank. And then write down, well, how did you get good at blank? Well, you didn't just magically get great at blank. You got great at it because you're like, okay, I'm going to have a coach that's going to work with me and help me understand this. I'm going to study the best of the best in this particular activity. I'm going to read books. I'm going to watch videos. I'm going to attend courses and classes. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do everything that I can to get better. And Stephen Covey, who authored a number of books. I mean, a book that we've all heard of, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, amazing book. In the last chapter of the book, he tells this story, and it's just such a great story. I share this all the time about this guy who's walking through the woods, and he stumbles across a lumberjack, and he's watching this lumberjack try to cut down a tree with a manual saw. And he's watching the guy, and he's like, huh. And the lumberjack's all sweaty and frustrated and angry. And he watches him for a little bit, and he kind of walks up to the guy, and he taps him on the shoulder and goes, hey, and excuse me, Mr. Lumberjack. And the guy looks up, and he keeps on sawing, and he says, hey, I've been watching you for a while. I just can't help but notice, but there's no teeth on your saw. And the guy doesn't even stop sawing, and he just goes, oh, I'm just too busy sawing to sharpen my saw. I mean, if you understand that point, when I first read that book probably 20 years ago, I was like, wow. Like, how many people are too busy sawing to sharpen their saw? Like, the best thing that you can do for yourself and your organization is be in this constant state of growth, this constant state of like learning and understanding and comprehending and expanding your ability. Because look, I mean, I've seen it in organizations and I've seen it with companies. The lid on your earnings is going to be based on your personal growth. And this is not something that many of you who've been around this business for a while haven't heard, right? The network marketing profession is about personal growth and development. But if we take it into any other occupation as well, in order for us to excel at whatever that is, the ability for us to excel is going to be based on our knowledge, our skill sets, our understanding of how this thing operates and functions. And there's so many things that we can do just look at yourself and go, what new skill have I learned lately? And have I taken that information, that education, and have I brought it to my team? Have I shared my understanding, my learnings with my team? Because the more you do this, the better the result that you're going to get. And people, again, are going to be inspired. They're like, look at this guy, look at this girl. She's growing, she's learning, she's developing. She's always she's in a book. She's always, learning something. And then not only is she learning something, she's applying that something into the business. That's why she's growing. That's why I want to be like that person. Because again, when you're the line leader, right? When you're the line leader, and we go back to setting the pace again, like the first thing I talked about, if your pace is slow, this is really important. I've seen this happen many times in companies where, the leader, the person that's in, the top of the organization, for example, they start to get comfortable. And it happens all the time. You start making good money, and it's like, wow, I've never made this much money before in my life. Holy smokes. Kind of relax, kind of chill out, and they kind of slow down and stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. And then it's like everybody's stacked. Imagine going on a single trail, and you got 20 people behind you, and you're the person in the front. Nobody can pass you because the trail is so narrow. Well, again, you're the one that's setting the pace. So if you want your people to be skyrocketing, they need to see you skyrocketing. Going back to that first point that I made in today's training. So, and that goes with personal development and personal growth. That goes to trust and how you are with people, because they're going to see the way you are. They're going to be like, it doesn't matter if you're brand new. They're going to try to be like whoever you are. People will very likely do more of what they see you doing than what you tell them to do. Now, of course, we want to be teaching and telling and showing and demonstrating, but for sure, they're going to do a lot of what they see us doing. I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes of all time by Martin Luther King Jr. And that quote is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." It's easy to be good when things are good, but it's hard to be good when things are challenging, right? And the truth is that as network marketers, there are going to be times where you feel challenged. As entrepreneurs, there are going to be times where you have controversy, where you have challenges, where you've got roadblocks, and where you've got obstacles that are in your way. And this is really where you're defined, in these moments of challenge and controversy, where you've got to decide, how are you going to respond to those situations, right? It's the same thing. Like, think about this, for example. You're driving down the street and somebody cuts you off on the road. We've all had it happen. and they cut you off, and you get all mad, and rah, rah, road rage, and try to go chase them down and get all angry. Your blood pressure skyrockets. They ruin your day. Or you can be like, hey, obviously you're in a hurry, have at it, boss. Go ahead. You seem to be in a rush. I'm cool. And you just kind of go about your day. And it didn't even impact you. It's the same exact situation, but the response is different from two different individuals. So the thing I got to tell you all is that, look, I mean, you're going to have moments, you're going to have days, you're going to have frustrating times where something happens, or somebody leaves the team, or somebody says something that's not so nice. And how you respond to that, these are like these defining moments. And what I can tell you about significant leaders in this business, they're able to weather the challenges, right? They're able to go, okay, well, it is what it is. Let's go. Let's figure out the solution rather than focusing on the challenge or the problem. Because if you focus on the challenge or the problem goes. It's like, how can we get through this, past this, over this, or around this, and get to the other side? And so, and I'm not going to go through all the litany of challenges and obstacles that I've faced as an entrepreneur over 30 years, but there have been many. There have been many times where I'm like, okay, this isn't fun, but how do we get through this? And then the other thing is, you got to understand, because again, everybody's watching you. How you respond to the scenario, to the situation, is a big difference maker. In fact, when it comes to creating momentum in an organization, like, you're creating growth, right? You're starting to grow, you're growing, you got a good team going, things are moving in the right direction. You're like, okay, this is good. I got things going. People are duplicating. The team is on fire. You got to also understand how delicate being in momentum is. So that's where we got to really, really get a grip on our personal decision making as leaders, because it can be one simple thing that happens that causes the entire group to go on pause. I've done it. I've been guilty of it myself. I've seen it happen. I've had to learn through experience. And so this also goes to show with, again, remember the ripple effect, both the positives and the negatives. So I'll give you a couple of real life examples. So one of the most important things I believe in being an exceptional leader is not taking all the credit, right? When somebody's up on the platform and they're saying, yeah, I built an organization of 40,000 people. I'm like, really? You put all 40,000? You didn't put all 40,000 people in there. That's a person that doesn't understand the team dynamic, that it was a cooperative effort of hundreds, if not thousands of people. So, and then I get a person that's on stage and like, hey, look, it's great to be here and great to get this award for having 40,000 people on my team. But honestly, I wouldn't even be standing here if it wasn't for all these people in the room that have worked their tails off, that have pushed me to this level. I mean, yeah, maybe I started and I put a bunch of people and I work with people, but it's the efforts of all of these individuals that put me into this position. And so you see the difference, like one person's taking credit for all of it and the other person's going, look, I wouldn't be here except for all of the efforts of all these people. So like an example, like recognition, right? And this to me is one of the most important things that you can do from the standpoint of motivation. Like, I get asked all the time, Todd, how do you motivate people? Well, I'm not really here to motivate others. I'm really more in line with inspiring others through actions, and then not doing things that demotivate or strip the motivation from people on the team. So let's say, for example, I'll give you a couple. I'll give you one quick example. I was with a company, and this was a company decision, but the same thing can happen for you working with your team. The company ran a contest, and I had a girl in my organization that worked really hard, and I think the number one prize for it was round trip airport fare to and from this conference. And the company was based in the U.S. She was in Australia. She crushed it. She put 45 people in 30 days, and she won the contest. And the company went, oh, wait a minute, she's in Australia. Well, wait. We can only give $500 credit towards the total cost of the airfare, even though the airfare might have been like $1,200 US or something. And, instead of just doing the right thing, going, we're going to pay for the airfare, that's awesome, congratulations, you deserve it, it completely turned her off. I mean, she was done. She never recovered. She ended up quitting the business. And so when it comes to like recognizing or this goes again back to making promises and things based on trust. You for example, most network marketing companies, there are major ranks that you hit, right? You're climbing through the compensation plan, if you will. And companies do a great job of rewarding and recognizing milestones and accomplishments. And but the thing you have to understand, especially those of you that are new here, those of you that are brand new, you guys need to understand this. We need to recognize even the simplest and smallest of accomplishments with people on our team. So when you have a brand new rep that you are working with and you're helping them to develop a team, and they go out and get their first customer, and let's say you put 20 customers in a month and you're like the customer king or queen, but they worked for 2 weeks to go get their first customer, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got my first customer. They're totally excited about it. But then you don't say anything. You don't say, oh my gosh, Susan, congratulations on your new customer. I'm so proud of you. Great job. Recognition, I don't know, in the team Zoom or Facebook groups or wherever you recognize people on your website, whatever it is. Taking the time to recognize both accomplishments, big and small, is going to keep people inspired, because the truth is, a lot of people will work harder for recognition than they do for the money. Now, I know a lot of people come in here to make money, but people will continue to move forward because they feel like they're, again, valued, wanted, needed, appreciated. That's human nature. I don't care what country you're in, where you're from. Human beings want to be wanted, valued, appreciated, needed. And we need to show it. And oftentimes people take it for granted that, oh, we know, I tell my kids every single day, I love you. I tell my wife every single day, I love you. I mean, I can take it for granted that I know my kids know that I love them because I'm their dad, but I express it. And we don't ever want to take that for granted. And I can't tell you how, this is one of those things that's so vitally important for you guys in understanding, creating momentum and leadership in an organization, is making sure that you take the time to recognize accomplishments, both big and small. I mean, I've had people that I've enrolled into businesses that have, booked an in-home presentation and invited 20 people and nobody showed up. And they think it was a total failure. I'm thinking, dude, great job, man. You put together an event with 20 people. Who cares if they didn't show up? You went through the motions. That's the first step. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, they think it was a total failure because they're looking at the result, not the fact that they took the actual action to get it done. So in what ways can you recognize people on your team for their, whatever their accomplishment is or their effort is in driving their business forward? Because the more you do it, if new and you haven't done this, it needs to happen. If you have been in the business and you've fallen short of this, then now you recognize you've fallen short of it. Now you can make the change. And that's the other thing, is we can change any moment, any instant. Like, we just can decide one day, okay, I've been going this direction, I'm going this direction. So for people that think that they can't change, you can change the moment you decide that you're going to do it in a different way. So it's not, for people that have been around, I'm like, man, he's talking to me and I haven't really done this. So what? You can start doing it today. You can start changing the way you've done things in the past to have a better, brighter future for yourself as a leader in this profession. All right, I want to shift gears a little bit and share with you a few strategies that are, from a leadership and team building perspective, are very likely some of the most powerful things that you can do to really take control of the growth of your organization. I just mentioned one. Recognition is huge because it's going to continue to inspire people to do more because they feel valued, they feel appreciated. As you grow an organization, let me share this with you. This one right here, in fact, these next two are probably the most powerful things that you can do as a leader in this business. Number one is you very likely have access to a back office or genealogy. And when you're brand new in a business and you have you and two people, the two people on your team, and then you grow it to 20 or 50 or 100. By the time you get to 100 people, you don't know everybody on your team because you got 100 people. So that's what a back office or genealogy is for, is your ability to go back and look at who's in there. And I would suggest that you're in your back office and looking like who's doing, who's active, who's recruiting, who's rank advancing, who's growing. And you can see that. You can see what I call pockets of activity. And a pocket of activity is where you identify someone somewhere on the team that maybe you don't know yet. And you're like, okay, who is this person? I'll tell you, like, the first time I did this was a long, long time ago. And this is before we even had a back office. We got a paper printout way back in the day. And I was taught this, and I was going through my genealogy report, and I'm going through, and I find this guy who is on my 6th level in a 7-level pay plan. And I look at him, and he's like, I see the enrollment date, and he had enrolled 35 people the previous month. I'm like, who is this crazy cat? Who is this guy? I don't know who this person is. So I reached out to him and I called him. I said, hey, is Joe in? Yeah, this is Joe. I said, Joe, this is Todd Falcone. He's like, who? I said, I'm part of the leadership team here with Company X. And he's like, oh, okay, great. I'm like, look, I just want to introduce myself to you. Here's my phone number. If there's any way I can serve you, help you, work with you, I want to do anything I can to help you grow this business. And he's like, man, I'm so thankful that you called me. I've never heard from my sponsor. And he, by the way, he never heard from his sponsor. He literally had a guy sign him up and he like disappeared off the planet. Never once again heard from this guy. But can you imagine? This guy comes in, self-starter, does it on his own for the first month, but he's really got no connection to the company because the guy that enrolled him left. And, had I not made that phone call, made that connection, he may have lasted, but the odds of him like lasting would have been slim and none because it's like, okay, I got an ID number. I'm all alone here. I don't know anybody. But I ended up developing a relationship with him. I worked with him for many years. I made a lot of money by working with him. And what you do, and this is, I love technology, okay? I love tech. But there's one thing that tech cannot replace, and that is, and I'm not going to turn the camera around, but over here on my wall, I have a very large whiteboard. And I would encourage you to put a whiteboard up on your wall as big as you can. I mean, like literally, if you can cover your whole wall in a whiteboard, that's what I'm talking about, not a little 2 by 3 foot whiteboard. And up on the whiteboard, you have the names of the personally enrolled people that you brought into the business. And underneath them are any people that you want to pay attention to. Like you find somebody on your 4th level or down in the organization who's underneath your friend Tom who put in 16 people, and you're like, okay, I want to pay attention to this person. You put them up on your whiteboard. Why do we put it up on the whiteboard? Why does technology not work here? Because as soon as you close the genealogy on your laptop, or as soon as you shut it down off of your mobile device, it's out of sight, out of mind. So what this enables you to do is really take control of your organization by being able to look up and go, okay, and the people that you're putting up there are not just people that are product users or aren't doing anything. They're people that through their actions, which you can see in your back office, like, oh, this person put 16 people in, this person's got a group of 50, this person's got 600. I need to pay attention to this person. Then you can look up at your whiteboard and go, okay, I need to call Andrew. It's been a couple days since I talked to this guy. So the people that go up on the whiteboard are the people that you want to pay the most attention to. And by the way, just so you know, in any network marketing organization, if you have 1,000 people in a group, a bulk of the volume from the 1,000 people is probably going to come from, who knows, maybe 100 people, and then 900 of them are product users, and they're in there and they're trying to figure it out. But most of that volume is probably going to come from 10 to 20% of the organization. So what you want to do is pay attention to the doers, to the producers, to the people that are in the organization, and stay as connected with those people as possible. So then you gain greater control in helping facilitate organizational growth by reaching out to people and saying, Andrew, hey, listen, Todd Falcone checking in. Hey, is there anything I can do for you? Got any prospects that that are looking at the business? Can I assist you with anything? Oh yeah, I've got this guy who's taking a look at it. Yeah, in fact, I was about to call him. You want to call him together? Yeah, let's do it. And then you can actually create a more cooperative effort in your organization. And let me tell you something, people appreciate it. People appreciate when someone from their leadership team reaches down to them in the organization and say, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I assist you in achieving greater success here? Now, I mean, I'm telling you, anytime I've had somebody in my line of sponsorship reach down to me and say, hey, brother, what can I do to help you out, man? Who you got looking at this? Who's on the fence that I can help kick off the fence and help you put into the business? Who's a customer that I can talk to, that I can share my product story with, or whatever it is. But I'm telling you right now that this strategy right here, when you apply it, because again, it's the application of the strategy. I can sit here and give you the information. You go, I'm not putting a whiteboard up on my wall. That's ridiculous. Or you can go, wait a second. He's right. As soon as I shut that laptop, what was the guy's name? I can't even remember. Whose line was he in? I don't even know. But I can just look up at the whiteboard and go, boom, there he is right there. I'm going to pick up the phone and call him. And I can tell you right now, one of the most powerful strategies that I've ever done. I've got 2 more that I'm going to share with you coming right up. So here, okay, look, here's the other one. In fact, let me pause for a second, and then we're going to get into it. And by the way, if you're wondering why I paused for a minute, the difference between a virtual event and a in-person event is the battery on the camera was about to be towed. So here's my strategy. I'm going to give you 2 other strategies. Number 1 is, and this is a rule that I instituted many, many years ago. It's called the 7-day rule. Okay. And this is really important for you to understand this because it can be really easy to not do what I'm about to share with you. And that is when you're growing an organization, you're growing a team, and obviously you're looking for people that are totally independent, people that are better than you, people that outproduce you, people that, quite frankly, I've had people on my team that I couldn't hold a candle to, and they outproduce me, and they're out doing their own events and running their teams and growing a huge organization, and they don't need me for anything. And that's really ultimately what we're looking for is these fully independent people that just go out and, go big with the business. Now, just in case you didn't know that, that's what you're looking for, right? But here's the thing with those very independent people, because they're so independent, it can be very easy for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2, 3 months to go by, and you haven't even talked to them. And you might think, well, why would I? I mean, of course I'd be talking to them. Well, the truth is, no, unless you institute this rule, it's very easy because they're so independent and you're earning, let's say you got a person on your team that's just doing huge business, and from their personal production on their team, you're making, I don't know, 20 grand a month, which, I would think that would be important to you that you stay connected with a person. You're earning $20,000 a month from that leg. And I got this person over here. I'm making 15 grand a month from their production in that leg. That's pretty good. And they're doing their own thing. This person's doing their own thing. And again, it can be very easy for a lot of time to go between contacts. And here's the thing you have to understand. Weeds grow in every garden. You could have the most flourishing garden in the world, and weeds will come up, and they don't need fertilizer. They don't need water. They'll just come up and choke your garden. And it's the same thing with this business. Like, you could think, okay, I got this person over here who's just absolutely crushing it in the business. They got it. They ain't going anywhere. Well, you don't know. Maybe something went sideways. Maybe they got mad at somebody on the team or something happened, and now it's been a month or 2 months and you haven't even talked to them. By the time you finally reconnect with them, they're like, oh, look, man, this is not going right. I'm on my way out. And I had this happen 2 times where I lost 2 big leaders in my organization. Why? Because I didn't have the rule. And here's what the rule is. Ready? You never let more than 7 days pass without having some type of communication with the key assets on your team, the key leaders on your team, these very independent people that are out there doing their thing, even if it's to check in and say, hey, brother, how's it going? How you guys doing? Anything I can do for you? No, things are great. Because then the next time I might call, hey, man, what's happening? He's like, oh, gosh, I'm so glad you called. I just had this thing happen, and I got to talk to you about it. And then what you can do is you can very likely fix the situation, or resolve the situation before it festers into something big. Because look, again, you can ignore me. You could say, whatever, this Falcone guy. That's silliness. I'm not going to do the 7-day rule. Or you can go, wait a minute, this guy's got 30 plus years under his belt and he's already made the mistakes. I better not do the same thing. So the 7-day rule is very simple. And these are the people that would also be on your whiteboard. I would have in red ink on my whiteboard the most successful people on my team. They're in red ink. Those are the people that I'm staying connected with on a very, very regular basis. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to share with you, and this is really, really important. We ultimately, as leaders, we want to create this cohesive, cooperative working relationship. And ideally to create a bond with the people that are in our organization so that, through thick and thin, we stick together. If there's a problem, big deal. We're going to make it through this problem. If there's something that's going on, fine. We're going to deal with it. And we're going to move forward. And it has to do with how thick the relationship is, how tight the relationship is, right? And so one of the things that I began doing many, many years ago, and I would, if I could make every person in network marketing do this, I would do it. But, because this is a volunteer sport, we can't really force people to do anything. But if I could, just so you understand my point, if I could make every single person in network marketing do this, I would do it. And the way I phrase it, it's called either doing a team building night or a team building blitz, right? So here's essentially the deal. When, many of you have probably heard the term in network marketing, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? And I understand, okay, yeah, I'm in business for myself. I'm not by myself because I got a team. But I don't know about you. I'm by myself right now. I'm in my office, and you guys watching this event, you're probably at home wherever you are, right? You don't have, you might have people on your team because it's a major event and you're brought a bunch of people together, but we spend most of our time as solopreneurs, right? We connect with people and we have meetings and presentations and all of that, but we spend a lot of time by ourselves. So what I would suggest you do is what we call a team building night or blitz. You can do it whenever you want. Okay, Thursday nights from 6 to 10, for example. Thursday nights from 6 to 10. Uh, you have people that are in reasonable driving distance of your house. Reasonable is not 4 hours. They can get to your house in an hour or less. Come on over, bring your laptops, bring your prospect list, bring your business stuff, and you're going to be under the same roof, and you're going to spend those 4 hours doing nothing but flipping rocks over, doing reach outs, prospecting, and you're doing it literally underneath the same umbrella, under the same roof. And you've got, it could be 3 people at your house or 10 people or, however many you can fit, and people are in different parts of the house. But this isn't a party. This isn't, hey, we're going to train all night. This is, we're going to be under the same roof, and we're going to go build some business here. Let's go get some customers. Let's go make some signups happen. And what it does is it creates amazing camaraderie. It creates this bond. It creates this trust. And you could have a brand new person that talks to a prospect, and their prospect was mean, and they got laid out. They're like, I can't believe you would even talk to me about something like this. You're crazy. Hopefully you don't get that, but some people just don't get us. So, if that person was by themselves at their house and that happened, they may never recover from it. Can you imagine, like, you're brand new to this business and somebody just lights you up and says, I can't even believe you would think of me to do something like that. You're crazy. And they're like, oh, I don't want to get back on the phone and reach out to a person again. I'm going to take the night off and take a nap. Well, if you're at my house and that happens, I'm like, dude, come on over here. Let's hug it out. High five. That person you didn't want that person anyhow. Let's make another call. And you can help a person create what I call a recovery anchor and get right back up on the horse again and get after it, which strengthens them, strengthens their resolve. And look, not one person here at this event can say, oh, Todd, that's a terrible idea. Let me tell you something. Can you imagine this? If you created in your group this culture of, we do team building blitzes on Thursday nights throughout our entire organization around the world. Can you imagine if you had people, let's say you had 1,000 people in your group, and you have, let's say 500 of them are super active, and you got 500 pockets of people around the world that on Thursday nights from 6 to 10, it's business building night. And let me give you a quick example of what can happen. So I run a 12-week accountability program that I've been doing for 12 years. And a couple years ago, I ran a really big A-team. It's called A-team. I ran it with a bunch of people in Norway. And there was about 400 or 500 people in this thing. And I talked about this concept of doing a blitz. And so the next week we got together and I said, okay, well, who did it? And this one guy on the Zoom raises his hand. I'm like, hey, so talk to me. What happened? I go, what'd you guys do? I said, how many people did you have at your house? We had like 5 people at the house. I'm like, cool. How long? We did from 6 to 9. I'm like, great. Well, what happened? And he said, we scheduled 90 presentations that night. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, we scheduled 90 business presentations that night. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I said, well, what do you think would have happened had you not done that? And he goes, honestly, with that group of people, 0. Because none of those people were doing anything. And he brought people together with a business building night, team building blitz, whatever you want to call it. And in one 3-hour session, they scheduled 90 business presentations where otherwise nothing would have happened. So I think you guys get the drift there when I say how important it is for you to understand the power of getting people together. I run here in the U.S., I run small business retreats where I have, up to 10 people fly into a house and I literally help them build their business for 3 straight days. It's like a live-in retreat that I do. And we people come in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, like all day, every day for 3 straight days. We're doing nothing but business building. Like I'm helping them to recruit and talk to people they're all coming in from different network marketing companies. The amount of business building activity that happens for these people in 3 days is more than some of them have done in the last year in a 3-day period. And then what they do is they really begin to realize, wow, I never really realized what getting it done was all about until they came to my house and they did one of these retreats. So this doesn't have to be an all-day thing, but I would really encourage you guys to, as leaders, to incorporate this into your organization. There's nothing bad that can happen. It's all good. You're building trust. You're building relationships. You're building, teamwork. You're guaranteed that the people in your house are going to be more productive because they're over there in their house by themselves. This person's in their house by themselves. This person's over in their house by themselves. You got them under your roof. They're getting it done. And what happens if you did that weekly? If you did that weekly, you'd see amazing, amazing gains in your organization. And it doesn't have to be just on the phone. I mean, you could do social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, phone, text, whatever. The concept is we're spending these few hours totally focused on business building. And until you've done it, you don't know what you're missing. All right, so here's what I would ask you to do. All right. So here we are at this virtual event. You've heard some things from me over the last, 45 or 50 minutes. Hopefully you've been taking notes. I think the important thing is the actions that you take, right? And leaders are action takers. Leaders are people that go, okay, well, I'm gonna bring in the information and then I'm gonna apply it, which I've already mentioned to you. So what I would encourage you guys to do is when this is all said and done and you're going through your notes on this, look at the things that I've shared with you and go, okay, how do I fit into this category, right? Like some of the things that I've shared with you are probably brand new. Like some of you probably have never heard of the 7-day rule because I'm the guy that teaches it, right? I don't know anybody. It's my rule. So I don't know anybody else that teaches the 7-day rule unless they've taken it from me, or this whole idea of executing a team building night or blitz. That's probably fairly new to most people. So you can either take it and sit on it or do something with it. And people attend events all the time. Like when I'm in my normal mode and when the world is kind of the way it normally is, where we can go see people and go to events with thousands of individuals. People come to events, they get all excited, they become inspired. They're like, I'm going to leave this event, and then I'm going to go crush it, right? I mean, and they're with their team. Think about this. Like you've been to an like international conference, for example. You're all fired up. You're excited. You're like, oh, we're going to go do something big here. And you're like, hair is standing up on end. You're leaving your team and you're like, you're hugging and you're crying. Oh, we're going to be at the top of the comp plan next year. And you're like, oh yeah, we're going to go do this. And then you get home and Monday hits. And like whatever, like it's like you all of a sudden you're back home and you guys are all home right now anyhow. So there's no flying home to get back home for the most part. And then these intentions don't turn into actions. And so here's the thing that I would encourage you to do. Schedule a team building night or blitz. Okay. So literally now, I mean, obviously we're in the middle of the event, so don't do it now. But when the event is over, as soon as the event is over, you start taking action on either the things that you've learned from me or the things you've learned from me and other people. Ideally the latter, right? So, okay, you maybe look in your notes, circle it. Okay, 7-day rule. I'm going to execute the whiteboard. Don't wait till next month to go buy a whiteboard. Go online and get yourself a whiteboard, get it planted on your wall, and put your team up on your wall. Start identifying who those pockets are. Start getting into the habit, even if you got a calendar it. And I'm going to go, all right, every week I'm going to, okay, you might have, I don't know how you're going to have it in your calendar. Look for pockets. Okay, that's a reminder. It's like I'm going to go in the genealogy. I'm going to start digging through and see who's doing what. Ask yourself, like, what is my recognition plan? You know, the truth is most people don't have a recognition plan. It's just kind of like shoot from the hip and like I'll just kind of recognize people whenever. It's like I'm going to have a solid recognition plan that when somebody gets a customer, this is what happens. When somebody signs up their first new rep, this is what happens. When they hit this rank, this is what happens. When they hit this one, this is exactly what happens. And the other thing about that is the recognition needs to happen in a timely manner. Like if they do it, they get recognized. Not they do it and then next month they're recognized. It needs to be immediate, right? And then also going back, and I'm going kind of back in reverse on what I've covered, is all right. Am I doing things in a way where people trust me? Have I been that person? If not, what do I need to change? I would even write down, here's the things that I need to change in order to be more influential in the future. Because again, leadership is really influence, right? It's our ability to influence others to a predetermined outcome. We're going in this direction. Well, why should I follow you? Well, I'm following you because you tell the truth. You're a super cool person. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. You're the most inspiring person I've ever seen. I want to model after you because you represent all that I want to be, all that I want to have. You follow me? But what you can do is you can either do something or you can do nothing. That's what happens at these events. It's crazy to me. People spend hours and hours and sometimes thousands of dollars to attend events, to attend experiences, and then they leave it and they don't do anything with it. And it's such a shame. You guys are in such an amazing position right now. The timeliness of this event, what is happening, what the corporate leaders are putting together for you, I just got to say, again, I feel honored to be here. This is a big time for you guys to be here in this position, to be at this event at this time with this company, with all of the great things that are happening in the direction that you're heading. I want to see you do big things, and the key for you to do big things is to not only again soak in the information, but make the decisions. And then going back to the very, very first thing that I said, if you want to win in this business and you want to inspire others, you're going to inspire others through your personal actions. You're going to do more for just showing up and making things happen than any other thing that I've said. Like just you showing up and going, what? I'm going to be the pace setter. I'm going to set the example. I'm going to be the example of what I want everybody else on my team to do. I'm going to be the person that I want to attract. Right? If you want to attract a particular type of person, and if you understand this, you know this, like attracts like, right? People hang out with people that are similar to them. So what kind of person do you want to attract into your business? Well, I want to attract somebody who's hardworking, who's ethical, who's focused, who's fun to be around, who's got amazing work ethic, who's I'm sure we could use all sorts of other words to describe it. I'm sure you're not going to say, oh, I want to attract somebody who's grumpy and negative and skeptical and mean and unethical. Nobody wants that person. But isn't that interesting when we see people who hang out with other people? It's like, oh, they all dress the same, they all talk the same, they all act the same, they all do the same thing. It's the same thing here. What do you want to attract? You want to attract greatness into this business, and it's up to you. Greatness starts with you. So, guys, listen, I so much appreciate the opportunity of being here with you virtually. I look forward to being with you in person at some point in the future, but it's the next best thing. And hey, thank God for technology. Have an amazing rest of your event. And thanks so much for having me, guys and gals. Have an amazing day. Make sure, again, act. It's the action that matters. We'll see you next time.